I was told that YB Sivarasa is here. Perhaps you would like to share. Now, I'm also a cynic at times, you know. I sometimes tell my friends, the ISA will be with us for a long time, unless Saudara Sivarasa becomes Home Minister.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
This is the first time I've been able to make this vigil. For some reason, for the last number of Sundays, some program came up, usually party stuff. Even tonight I have programs, but this time I said I must come here first at least. Before going on to the rest of the evening. I know this activity has had some major challenges in the last few weeks. Some of you, I understand, will be going to the police station tomorrow. So just make sure you go with your lawyers. Basic rule about going to the police station: never go alone. Go with friends. I expect they will just ask you to return again on another month's time with another return date, and then keep dragging the process. This is what usually happens with some of us when we get arrested for so-called unlawful assembly. I understand there are conditions about today's gathering. I just want to say now I don't respect any of those conditions. The right of public assembly is exactly that. Peaceful public assembly without conditions. The only condition is that we mustn't get violent. And I'm sure none of you want to get violent, right? What Bob Teoh said earlier was interesting. I was in UK. I'm not sure whether it's about the same time. I saw some of the CND stuff. Saw some of the gatherings, the mobilization against apartheid in front of the South African embassy. Saw the Greenham Common women. I don't know, those of you about our age group will know what I'm talking about. When nuclear weapons were being brought into the United Kingdom, there was a group of women who put up this tent in front of the military base and said, "We will not leave here until the base is closed, until the weapons are moved." And again, there were skeptics about that sort of approach. Every day they lived there. They weren't going there once a week. It's like the protest against the South African embassy. People were there all the time. And eventually they triumphed. When the song "We Shall Overcome" is sung, it's not always just done in vain. Sometimes it actually happens. And in those cases, the struggle did reach its end, and justice was achieved. So the idea of coming here every week until one day we will see the end of the ISA. When the Pakatan Raya takes over, I want to say this, I don't want it to be misunderstood. This is not being said of some kind of arrogance, political arrogance. I just have my deepest instincts telling me that the shelf life of the BN is coming to an end. It may not be very soon. It may not be very soon. But all the signs are there. Which is why what the activity we do tonight is important. And it's important to keep going as a message to everybody, a strong message of peace, solidarity and justice, and of the wrongdoing that is going on. People being jailed for years on end without trial. As we stand here, there are almost 100 of them in Kamunting. We have Raja Petra out, thank God. but we have many others who are still inside, and not for short periods. Some of them have been there for up to 7 years now. 7 years of your life locked up without a trial, which is like being sentenced in a court, going to court, being prosecuted, being convicted, and being given a sentence of 12 years. That's how serious it is. And they've spent that much time behind bars without any evidence being put before a public court. Some of them are being called terrorists. It's easy to label anyone terrorist. In 2001, Hishamuddin Rais, Tien Chua, Ezam, and 6 or 7 others, including Raja Petra, were all called terrorists. They were accused of mobilizing for violence against the current government. The IGP made written statements to the effect they were accumulating grenade launchers, Molotov cocktails, also a whole lot of poppycock. Absolute rubbish. But these were the allegations made, because they are easy to make. And they are easy to make against anyone and call them, you are a terrorist, or you are organizing for violence. And they locked them up under the ISA. We went to court, and of course the court challenges failed. But at least some progress was made in court in terms of how far the court was prepared to look at the detentions. And in the federal court, the court looked at the evidence before it and said, there's nothing here to substantiate any of those allegations. So we have, and I would like to ask, if Indonesia can put its terrorists on trial, produce the evidence, and if it is there for real, lock them up. Throw the key away. That doesn't matter. If they are planning for violence, then justice has to be done. But if Indonesia can do it, why can't we do it? Be open, be transparent about it. And this is what we ask for. And this is what we will do one day when we remove the ISA from the face of this country. I say this, the Pakatan Rakyat will be the kind of government which will give up its power back to the people. And that's what we must do. And by giving up its power, what does that mean? It means that the Home Minister under Pakatan Rakyat, and it may not be me. Let's not worry about who it is, it doesn't matter. This is not about personalities. Our politics is not about personalities. Our politics is about the principles that we stand for. But this is clear. The new Pakatan government will repeal the ISA forthwith. That's a commitment. We have to, it's not just the ISA, the very law that forces us to stand here, instead of out in the public street, where our rights really are. Those laws have to be changed. The Police Act, the Printing Presses and Publications Act, the Sedition Act, the University Colleges Act. I can go on and on. There's a whole long list of laws which we must change. And by changing them, we return our people our rights. That is what we must do. So this is, what you're doing today is part of that process. So let's keep it going. Let's bring more people. It's important that this grows, the message grows. And what I would like to see, and I'd like to help in that process, that similar activities like this start in other places. It's important. This cannot be just kept in Petaling, Jaya. Tonight, I think some of you know, there are similar activities starting in Ampa tonight. And that's very meaningful. But we should work to spread it. It goes from Ampang to another part of KL, to other parts of the Klang Valley, from Selangor to the other states. Let us carry this message. Let this little light spread all over Malaysia, slowly, step by step. It doesn't matter if it takes a bit of time, because this is the kind of momentum that can build. And believe me, we've seen this in other countries. One individual steps forward, the next day is 2, the next day is 4, the next day is 8. And believe me, suddenly it's a whole new movement for change. So let's do this. Let's keep doing this. And as I said earlier, I think we see the signs of change. March is there, but March is not enough, and more needs to be done. But let's take hope that, as I said earlier, the shelf life of the BN is nearing to an end. And this will bring it to an end faster. Thank you very much.
fight for our rights together in the past 50 years, 51 years, says a lot for our people. So don't let the authorities scare you that whatever we do will lead to ethnic strife and so on. As I said to you earlier, what we're fighting for is something that's supported by the people. In fact, the Barisan national leaders themselves have announced, publicly stated recently, that even within the Barisan Nasional, there is no support for the ISA. So this is a piece of legislation that is doomed to failure, and we must keep pushing. Anyone else wants to share some thoughts with us?